The sun peeked over Greenwood Valley Ranch, and those green fields just glowed gold. The grass was covered in dewdrops that sparkled like diamonds in the morning light. You could hear the cows mooing way off in the distance, mixing with the birds chirping and the wind whispering through the trees. It was peaceful, all right, but I knew there were troubles brewing beneath all that quiet. That's when I, Caleb Morgan, a 27-year-old man, stood by this old wooden fence, checking out the herd as they grazed in the sunrise. I'm not much to look at, a bit rough around the edges, but I reckon I look like a man who's been through the ringer. Ever since I lost my folks in that wreck a few years back, I've poured my heart and soul into Greenwood Valley, working my tail off to help my grandpa, George Morgan. He always said patience and elbow grease are the only things that get you through life. But things were about to get stirred up something fierce. A fancy car came rolling down the dusty road toward the ranch. Out stepped Mia Collins, the city girl, daughter of Victoria Collins, who actually owns this place. She looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine, all done up in heels with this bored look on her face. She stuck out like a sore thumb in these parts. Her mama sent her to Greenwood Valley with the idea that 3 months on the ranch would learn her some responsibility. From where I stood, I watched Mia, wondering if she'd manage to survive. Mia's first day at Greenwood Valley was not exactly the spa day she'd imagined. Those fancy heels were covered in red dirt before she took 10 steps, and the sun was blazing down on the fields with not a tree in sight. "Mia, you'll be working under Caleb's supervision," Victoria said, real stern-like. "Remember, this isn't a vacation. This is your chance to get your act together." I stood nearby, arms crossed, trying not to show what I was thinking. "Hope you're ready," I said, plain and simple, before turning and heading to the stables. When we got there, Mia's jaw just dropped. The smell of hay and manure just hit her like a brick wall, and the floor was a mess of straw and you know what. I grabbed a shovel and handed it to her. "First job, clean out this stable," I said, keeping my voice calm but firm. "Are you kidding me?" Mia squeaked, jumping back like the shovel was covered in something nasty. "Nobody's kidding here, Miss Collins," I said, giving her a hard look. "At Greenwood Valley, everyone works. And the only way to learn anything is to get your hands dirty." She finally grabbed the shovel, but she looked like she had no idea what to do with it. I just watched her from a distance, wondering to myself how long the city girl would last in this world. By noon, she was sweating like a pig, and her hands were shaking. She sat down in the corner of the stable, completely wiped out. She pulled out her phone and called her mom. "I can't do this, Mom. They're making me do the most awful things." "This was your choice, Mia," Victoria interrupted. "Show me you can." As the sun started to dip down, I saw Mia sitting on the porch, just staring off into the distance. For a split second, I wondered if she was maybe starting to change. The next few days weren't exactly a picnic for Mia, but she did seem to be opening her eyes a bit more to what was going on around her. One morning, as she walked past the stables, she saw me tending to a horse that had hurt itself. I was just gently stroking its neck, talking to it real soft, trying to calm it down. Mia stopped and watched for a bit, quiet as a mouse. For the first time, it seemed like she realized that behind my tough exterior, there was some compassion in me. That night, during dinner with Grandpa George, he told her a little bit about my story. "His folks passed away when he was just a kid," George said, looking off into space, lost in his memories. "He had to grow up real fast after that. Caleb's put his whole life into this ranch. That's why he keeps people at arm's length, you know? He's just afraid of losing anyone else he cares about." George's story got to Mia. It seemed to give her a little more sympathy for me. A few days later, I offered to teach Mia how to ride a horse. "We need to move those cattle between pastures," I said, trying not to sound too encouraging. "If you want to help out, you'll need to know how to ride." At first, Mia was all over the place with the reins, looking clumsy and unsure of herself. But I just took my time, showing her each step, how to sit up straight, keep her balance, and guide the horse. "You gotta trust the horse," I told her, adjusting her posture. "If you're scared, it'll feel it." Slowly but surely, Mia started to get the hang of it. For the first time, she looked like she was enjoying herself, galloping across those fields. Meanwhile, Sophia, our ranch manager, started getting annoyed with Mia's progress. She started giving Mia the hardest, most awful jobs, just to be mean. "You don't belong here," Sophia said, real cold, as she walked past Mia one morning. Instead of snapping back, Mia just bit her lip and went back to work. She was starting to learn about patience and sticking things out. As the harvest festival got closer, Greenwood Valley Ranch was buzzing with activity. Colorful flags were strung up everywhere, long tables were covered in pretty tablecloths, and Margaret, our cook, was busy in the kitchen, making all kinds of traditional dishes. Mia wandered into the kitchen, looking around with curiosity. Margaret handed her a long dress covered in flowers. "You can't wear those city clothes to the festival," Margaret said with a smile. "Try this dress on. It'll make you feel like you're part of this place." Mia hesitated for a second, but she took the dress. When she put it on, she looked different. In the mirror, she didn't see that cold city girl anymore. She looked like she belonged at Greenwood Valley. That evening, the festival kicked off with the lively sounds of music, guitars strumming and drums pounding away. Locals and ranch hands were all gathered under those string lights, laughing and chatting. I was leaning against a post, trying not to look too interested, when Mia walked out of the house. She was wearing that dress Margaret had given her, and with her hair down and a flower tucked behind her ear, she looked like a different person. I couldn't help but soften a little. I walked over to her, trying to keep my voice casual. "You actually look like you belong here," I said, holding out my hand. "Care to dance?" Mia hesitated, but a shy smile spread across her face. "I don't know how to dance to this kind of music," she said. "I'll teach you," I replied, leaving my hand out there. Under those twinkling lights, I showed Mia the steps. She was a little awkward at first, but she started to loosen up and just let the music carry her. The crowd clapped and cheered, but for Mia and me, it felt like everyone else just disappeared. From across the yard, I saw Sophia watching us, her eyes narrowed with jealousy. She clenched her fists, turned around, and walked away, leaving the music and laughter behind. When the song ended, Mia and I just stood there for a second, looking at each other. There was something in the air, something that didn't need words. "Thank you for dancing with me," Mia said softly, and I could tell she meant more than just the dance. "Thank you for trusting me," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. That night, Mia seemed to feel like she was becoming part of something at Greenwood Valley. In the days that followed, Mia started to get more attached to the place. She helped me out with the daily chores and began to understand what life on the ranch was all about. But of course, things couldn't stay peaceful for long. One morning, Sophia cornered Mia in the stables while she was cleaning. Sophia crossed her arms, her voice sharp as a tack. "Do you even know what you're doing here? Do you know why this ranch is in trouble? It's all because of Caleb." Mia looked up, surprised. "What do you mean?" Sophia smirked, her voice dripping with meanness. "The barn fire 5 years ago? Caleb was responsible. He screwed around with the equipment, and that's what caused the fire. The losses from that fire are what put this ranch in debt." Mia just went quiet, letting Sophia's words sink in. That night, she decided she needed to confront me. "Caleb, I heard about the barn fire," Mia said, sounding serious. "Is it true that you caused it?" I froze, my face getting that dark look I know all too well. "Who told you that?" "It doesn't matter. I just want to hear the truth from you," Mia pressed. I took a deep breath and started to explain, my voice heavy. The old barn was in rough shape. One night, the wiring shorted out and started a fire. By the time I found it, it was too late. My grandpa tried to save the animals, and I had to pull him out before the roof caved in. We lost a lot of good animals, and I've carried that guilt ever since. I paused, looking off into the distance. But if anyone thinks I didn't do everything I could to try and stop it, they're wrong. I risked everything to save what I could. Mia could feel the pain in my voice, the weight of what I was saying. I'm sorry, Caleb. I didn't know you went through all that, she said. The tension between us just faded away, replaced by something like understanding. Later that afternoon, Victoria called Mia and me into her office. The ranch is in real trouble, she said, her voice serious. We're carrying a mountain of debt from the fire and keeping the place running. Some big company has offered to buy Greenwood Valley, Victoria continued. We can't sell the ranch, I said right away, my voice firm. We might not have any choice if we can't figure something out, Victoria replied, looking worried. Mia looked pretty upset. I guess she was starting to realize that Greenwood Valley wasn't just a place to work. It was home, a legacy. After hearing all that, Mia spent the whole night trying to come up with an idea to save the place. The next morning, she walked into the dining room where Grandpa George and I were talking things over. I have an idea, Mia said, looking determined. We can turn Greenwood Valley into an ecotourism destination. I frowned. Eco what? Mia nodded, explaining her idea. City folks are always looking for something real, something connected to nature. We can offer horseback riding, tours of the ranch, cooking classes, even overnight stays. George sat there for a minute, thinking. Then he slowly nodded. It might work, but it'll take a lot of work. Even though I was still a little unsure, I knew this might be our only shot. All right, let's give it a try. Mia jumped right into action. Using her fancy marketing skills, she started promoting Greenwood Valley on social media, posting pictures of the green fields, the horses, and the simple life on the ranch. Grandpa George and I focused on fixing the place up. We fixed the stables to welcome visitors, and built small cabins for folks to stay overnight. Margaret joined in by setting up those baking and cooking classes in her kitchen. We're not just sharing work, we're sharing our love for this place, she said while she was kneading dough. The local community started pitching in, too. They provided fresh food, helped with repairs, and even led visitors around the ranch, showing them the ropes. Slowly but surely, people started coming. They loved George's stories, enjoyed Margaret's cooking, and found peace and quiet in the tranquil atmosphere of Greenwood Valley. One afternoon, as the ranch was buzzing with families, Mia turned to me. See? We're doing it. I smiled, looking at her. It's not us. It's you. You brought hope back to this place. Sophia realized there wasn't anything for her at the ranch anymore, so she packed up and left. Maybe this is for the best, she said before driving off, leaving the ranch with a fresh start. Greenwood Valley was reborn, not just as a ranch but as a symbol of. And that's as far as you sent me, so I'll stop there. Let me know what you think. Community, creativity, and really loving the land. As folks came together to celebrate, Mia and I got closer than ever. All those tough times just made us stronger. It was during one of those quiet moments, with all that laughter and warmth around us, that I knew it was time to take the next step. A few months later, Greenwood Valley was like a whole new place. It had been about to go under, but now it was thriving, full of life and laughter as visitors came to see what it was all about. One late afternoon, Mia and I were standing together in the middle of a field, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and gold. You could hear the kids playing back at the ranch, and you could smell Margaret's baking all the way out there. You did it, I said, looking at Mia. We did it, Mia replied, smiling. Greenwood Valley isn't just a ranch anymore. It's a real home, not just for us but for a lot of other people, too. Grandpa George was sitting on the porch, watching everything. He smiled, seeing Mia and me standing side by side. "Your folks would be proud," he said to Margaret, who had just come out with a tray of warm cookies. Margaret nodded, her eyes sparkling. "I'm proud too. We've all been through a lot together." That night, under the stars, everyone gathered around a big bonfire. George told stories about the ranch's past, and Liam played guitar and sang old songs. I held Mia's hand tight, feeling a peace I'd never known before. "Greenwood Valley is where you belong," Mia said, leaning against me. "And you're the one who brought new hope to this place," I replied, kissing her on the forehead. Under that fire and those lanterns, Greenwood Valley had found its rebirth, not just as a ranch that had been saved, but as a community built on love, patience, and hope. One evening at sunset, the sky was all orange and gold. Mia and I were walking across the meadow, the breeze carrying the scent of fresh grass. "Everything feels so peaceful," Mia said, looking out at the horizon. "Peaceful, yeah," I replied. "But it's even better with you here." We stopped under a big oak tree, its shadow stretching across the grass. I turned to Mia, my heart full of all those feelings I couldn't keep inside any longer. I dropped to one knee and pulled out a ring, simple, but with a stone that sparkled like the evening light at Greenwood Valley. Mia gasped. Her mind raced back through all those moments we'd shared, the tough times, the laughter, the quiet understanding that had grown between us. "Mia," I began, my voice all shaky with emotion. "Ever since you came into my life, you've brought hope and color to a world that used to be nothing but work. I can't imagine living without you. Will you marry me?" Mia covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, Caleb, I will." I stood up, slipped the ring on her finger, and pulled her into a hug. The wind blew across the field, like Greenwood Valley itself was giving us its blessing. Caleb and Mia's wedding was right there in the same meadow where I had proposed. It was a simple celebration, but it was full of love and unity. White ribbons and wildflowers decorated the wooden fences, making everything look both rustic and beautiful. Mia wore a simple white dress with flowers stitched on it, and she had wildflowers in her hair. You could feel her heart pounding as she walked down the aisle, each step a promise of a future full of love and hope. I was standing there in a clean white shirt and jeans, trying to look calm, but my fingers were tapping against my leg the whole time. When our eyes met, everything else just disappeared. Friends, family, and everyone from Greenwood Valley had gathered under the open sky. Wooden chairs were lined up, facing an arch made of wildflowers where Mia and I would say our vows. As Mia walked down the aisle with Victoria by her side, my eyes lit up. It was like everything else just faded away, leaving just the bride and groom standing there in the light of the setting sun. "Today, we're seeing more than just a wedding," George said, smiling as he started the ceremony. "We're seeing the union of two people who have brought Greenwood Valley back to life, a new beginning." Mia and I said our vows, promising to love each other and build a future for the ranch and for our community. When George said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife," everyone cheered and clapped. I leaned in and kissed Mia as wildflower petals fell all around us. The celebration went on with Margaret's cooking and Liam playing guitar. Under the stars, Mia and I danced on the grass, not just as a new couple, but as two people who had built a future together for Greenwood Valley, a place where love and hope would last forever.